Hello, this is Frank of the 12 Gates, and today we're going to be talking about the city of NEOM. This is a new city that's going to be built. It's near the Red Sea, and it's the sort of very northeastern tip of Saudi Arabia, and it's going to take in, border on with Jordan, and there's talk of it may take in part of Egypt as well. And it's not a million miles away from Israel, so that's why I'm showing some interest in this. This came out sort of end of October last year, this headline, and there was a lot of headlines showing this bald-headed woman, AI, artificial intelligence, robot, android thing that will be part of this new city. When you actually get into it, this thing is going to be 33 times the size of New York City, and it's going to be high tech with artificial intelligence, and it's going to be run from renewable sources. That's what the power supplies will be. And as we know that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country, this city will have equal rights for women, is another thing. It will have its own laws, and it will be autonomous. The area it's located in is mountainous in parts, and it's going to be, as I said, on the Red Sea. Basically, it's going to be open for business by 2025, and it says with limited operations expected as early as 2020. Here's something that caught my eye, which is part of the headline that I've actually snapshotted here. Have a listen to this. Things combine to offer a lifestyle not available anywhere else. Your medical file will be connected with your home supply, with your car, linked to your family, linked to your other files. And the system develops itself in how to provide you with better things. Now this sounds like this that a lot of conspiracy theorists are talking about, isn't it? The New World Order, this RFID chip, or some form of biometrics. It sounds like that sort of thing, doesn't it? Combined with artificial intelligence. This city is something that has never been seen before. There's nothing like it on this planet, which is why I thought I'd make this video. It's going to be a quick one. I think it has got prophetic significance. It does tie up with some of the stuff that's mentioned in Revelation 17:18, and I'll just briefly skim over later where I think it actually ties up with Revelation 17 and 18. Very, very quick. There's about, I suppose about half a dozen points where it actually ties up. But a lot of it, I don't think it ties up at all. So I'm not saying that this is Mystery Babylon that is mentioned in the book of Revelation. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's another possibility. If you've watched the other videos that I've done, I've actually compared Rome to America to Mecca. They're the three main candidates, aren't they? I suggest you watch that video. I just approached it in an open manner, and obviously that's got a lot of strong comments on there. People in the Rome camp, people in the America camp, and people in the Mecca camp, you know. And then there's some people on there that said, no, it's Jerusalem. Yeah, so I did a separate video on Jerusalem, and looking at it, for me, that seems one of the strongest candidates. But again, it doesn't tick all the boxes. There's certain things there it doesn't really tie up, but that one ties up quite strongly. Now this one is the fifth candidate, and I think this one again is another strong candidate, but I don't think it's strong as, say, Jerusalem or Mecca. But it is by the sea, and that's important, and it's in the Middle East. And that's the thing, I honestly think this Mystery Babylon is in the Middle East. Yes, I don't know why, this thing reminds me of the Tower of Babel, and also Sodom and Gomorrah as well, and we know what happened with those two places, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is have a look at what are the things, a sort of tick list, very, very quick. The things that it has in common with Revelation 17 and 18. Yeah, the first thing that's mentioned is, which is why I just don't think it's Rome or New York or America, is there is mention of the wilderness, isn't there? And that is basically the first thing that's a giveaway. Wilderness is always desert, especially in Bible connections, isn't it? That's the first thing. So that sort of narrows it down. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the Middle East, but it has to be in a desert location. This city is in the desert, isn't it? But it's in a mountain range as well. There is mention of 7 mountains. Some people say that's a symbolic thing. Other people say that it is literally something. It's 7 mountains. Now, Rome sits on 7 hills, and some people say there are 7 mountains in Jerusalem, and some people say that there are in Mecca. Mecca is surrounded by 7 mountains, but you can't apply that to New York, or it doesn't apply, does it? But if we look at this, where this city is going to be located, it's located in a mountain range. I don't know how many mountains there are there, but there are a number there. So it sort of ties up there. This city is something that's never been seen before. Yeah, this city is sort of described as something wondrous and something that it's been nothing like it. Yeah, and this city, it fits that description, doesn't it? Yeah, Rome has been around for some time, hasn't it? Jerusalem the same, and Mecca is a fairly new city, isn't it? But certainly this city is absolutely massive, and it's something that there's nothing else like it on this planet that's going to be built. And it's going to be built very quick as well. Which brings us on to the merchants of the sea. If they're going to be building this thing, then it's going to soak up a vast amount of, there'll be a lot of trade going on, bringing in supplies. Saudi Arabia is predominantly desert, isn't it? So, I mean, if they're bringing supplies in, the merchants of the sea are mentioned, aren't they? It's just the products that they bring, I can't really tie that up. We don't really know yet what they're going to be using as building materials, but that is something, again, that ties up. Blood of the saints, if we look recently what's been happening, there has been, the extreme Islam, ISIS, these sort of types. There has been slaughtering of Christians, isn't there? So that could sort of tie up. The mystery angle would tie up with this new city as well. When St. John the Divine wrote this on the island of Patmos, he saw this thing, but he didn't know what it was. And maybe it was something that was going to exist in the future that didn't exist at the time, which would then rule out Rome. It would rule out Jerusalem as well, isn't it? And New York is a fairly new city, and Mecca came way after, didn't it? So those two are more prime candidates when you think of the mystery, and this city as well, this NEOM, seems to tie up as well. But some people say that St. John the Divine, Rome was always called Babylon, wasn't it? That's what his nickname was. And Mystery Babylon was the coded word for what he was actually referring to. That's what some people say anyway. The next thing, the location of this thing is very prophetic. It is near to Eilat, which is the extreme southern tip of Israel. So this thing is going to take in, it's near Jordan and it's near Egypt. In point of fact, it may take in some part of Egypt as well. So it's right on the doorstep of Israel, but the very narrow point that faces onto the Red Sea. Slaves are mentioned in Revelation 17 and 18, and if you take Dubai and also in Saudi Arabia, they're doing a lot of work, aren't they? They do import a lot of labour, cheap, and they do pretty much work in pretty much slave conditions. Mainly they come from Asia, but from all over the place. They come there for construction work and that sort of thing, isn't it? So, and the conditions they work in is very much slave-like. So that's another thing that seems to tie up quite closely with this city. It will probably be the same thing like they've done with Dubai. Dubai, when they built everything there, it's mainly geared up for tourism, isn't it? And they built it very, very quick. This city, by the looks of things, is going to be done by 2025, but it's going to actually start trading in 2 years' time. So it's all stuff that's on the drawing board, but it looks like things are going to move very, very quickly from around the globe to invest in this thing. So that's the next thing. The final thing is, I always keep mentioning this Bible verse. When this thing actually gets destroyed, the people, the merchants in particular, cast dust on their heads because they were in mourning for this city, because there's going to be nothing. There was nothing like it, and probably be nothing like it ever again. And this city, by the sounds of it, totally eclipses Rome, totally eclipses Mecca, totally eclipses Jerusalem, and totally eclipses New York in the size and basically everything it does. It's going to be a digital city with no traditional the traditional setup that you normally see in cities. It's going to be something completely radical. Something like, if you remember the city that you see in Blade Runner, if you ever watched that film, the original version, it'll be something like that, but without the rain. Another thing I find interesting is this NEOM city, the location of it. If you go to Isaiah 21, I've used this map before. Have a look at this map and you'll see the actual locations that are mentioned in the prophecy in Isaiah 21. A lot of it matches up to this city of NEOM. Yeah, and that does tie up with Revelation 17. There are some cross references there that tie up with, from Isaiah 21 to Revelation 17. So that's another thing. But I mean, where do I stand on this? It doesn't tick all the boxes, does it? That's the thing. It does sound interesting. It's a possibility again. It's possibility number 5. I'm sure there's other possibilities out there, but these are the 5 main ones that I seem to be aware of. Is New York, Rome, Mecca, Jerusalem, and now this one, the city of NEOM. Trying to fit this thing with the timeline. This thing gets destroyed, doesn't it? This city, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, it gets torched. There'll be famine there, and it gets destroyed with fire, by the sounds of it. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah, it's just going to go the same way. But I can equate this to like speaking different languages around the globe, isn't it? They got scattered from that place. This place, I think everybody from around the globe is going to be coming there to see this thing, isn't it? And that is what is mentioned in Revelation. It mentions this city sits on many waters, and it is a city, this Mystery Babylon. It's not a country, it's a actual city. It's very interesting. The location of it is very interesting. It's near some big trade routes. I know China is eyeing up around that area. There is a high-speed rail link being developed from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem itself. And there's also what I call a freight link is being developed that will go from, I think, Eilat all the way up to the Mediterranean Sea, and it will rival the Suez Canal. Yeah, and maybe, because when you look at the map of Saudi Arabia, you think, well, why is this thing located on the Red Sea? Why isn't it sort of located more down near the bottom? It's because of that reason, isn't it? Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of shipping that's going to come through there, and that's maybe the reason why it's located where it is, and that's why the merchants of the sea is mentioned very strongly in this prophecy. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you people. There's a lot of headlines on this. Just Google it, NEOM, City of NEOM, and you'll get more information. But I think it's a possibility. It's something. But 2025, I mean, we're at 2018 now. Some sort of trading is going to happen there at 2020. So it's a sort of a timeline, isn't it? It's very interesting. It's about 7 years until it's completed. But I think that where I've read somewhere, it's 7 years until phase 1 is completed. I don't know how many phases there are, but 33 times the size of New York, high tech, artificial intelligence, everything automated by the sounds of it. And I think this RFID, that sort of thing, biometrics, highly futuristic city, nothing been seen on this planet at all, totally eclipses anything else out there. It does fit that Mystery Babylon description, doesn't it? So, but it doesn't tick all the boxes. And I suggest you read Revelation 17:18. I suggest you read Isaiah 21 as well. There are other Bible verses out there, and I'll put them at the end of this presentation for you to peruse. They sort of do tie up with this Mystery Babylon as well. And that's it. There's a load more jigsaw pieces there again for you to chew over, and you can put them together yourself. But my personal view, do I think this is Mystery Babylon? It could be. It could be, but I still think it's either Jerusalem or Mecca. I don't think it's New York, and I don't think it's Rome. Rome does tick a lot of the boxes very strongly, but there's a lot of the stuff it just doesn't tick at all. And I suggest you go back and watch that video, and I did go into that. But certainly this one looks very, very interesting. And I know there's going to be a lot of people with strong feelings about this, and they'll come back and say, no, it's Rome, no, it's Jerusalem, no, it's America or New York or whatever. But all you got to realise is it doesn't matter what it is, does it? There's no point arguing about it, whether it's Rome or Mecca or whatever it is. There's no point us arguing about what it is. As long as you're aware it's one of those 5, it could be something else as well, something completely different. But I think it would be in the Middle East, and that's it. And just keep an eye on those things, isn't it? And it's just another sign that we're in those times. And certainly keep your eyes on the Middle East, isn't it? But don't forget, keep your eyes firmly focused on the Lord.